हेलो एवरीवन, वेलकम टू माय यूट्यूब चैनल देसाई ट्यूटोरियल्स। मैं हूं आपका होस्ट और दोस्त फैनिल देसाई। टुडे we'll be learning about introduction of vibration. So first of all, we'll look brief content about the things that we are going to study over here. As you can see, history we'll look at, then after the vibration, advantages and disadvantages, how you can reduce the vibration, then different elements which you can develop in the vibrating system, then after few definitions of the vibration, classification of vibration, simple harmonic motion, how particular system can be modeled, springs in series and parallel, and dampers in series and parallel. So first of all, we'll start with the history. So as you can see, during 4000 to 1500 BC, at that time there was not many things to do for the enjoyment. So during that time, majority people were busy with the musics, right? So as you can see here, this was the first thing which was observed in the culture of Hinduism, Chinese, Japanese and Egyptians. This is what we call Nanga, as you can see in the image. Okay, when you start hitting this clip, it will sound differently, and people used to enjoy with the help of this instrument and used to pass their time. Okay. Next, after 582 to 507 BC, a mathematician named Pythagoras, which all of you know, who has invented this formula theorem, that is a square is equals to b square plus c square. Okay, so during that era he performed an experiment. The experiment that he used was named as monochord. So as you can observe here, okay, so one string is attached over here and there are 3 points where it passed through, and here the weight is been attached to the string. So when he start clicking at this point, the string moves and it produces the sound effect. Okay, it produces a tone. Let us say first he use 10 centimeter of the string. After that he reduces the string size to 5 centimeter, but the weight remains the same. At that time what he observed, the sound effect which was produced in 10 centimeter was less than the sound produced in the 5 centimeter. So tone was increased. So this was his discovery which he made during his era. After that, time passes by. Okay, not very much into the relation between this music and the mathematics, but after 132 AD, okay, now we are arriving at AD. The first seismograph means earthquake measuring instrument, was developed by the Chinese a personality named Zheng Heng. Okay, so as you can see here, this is made up of bronze material which is being casted. The diameter of this is 0.237 meter, which is known as 8 chi in Chinese language. Okay. Now as you can see, there is a jar inside which there are 8 levers being placed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. And these are all pointing in different directions. Another thing which you can observe, that there is a dragon with a mouth opening attached with the each lever. Next, so when the earthquake appears, okay, so when the earthquake appears, the pendulum will tilt. As you can see, the earthquake is appearing in this direction, so this red arrow indicates the direction of the earthquake. So this ball which is placed over here at the center point will pass through the lever and come out from the dragon mouth. Now there is a frog which are being placed at the 8 directions of the dragon. So when this ball comes out, it will directly fall into the frog's mouth, so that you will be able to judge the direction, as well as you will get a crunch sound with which you will be able to understand the direction and the time period of the earthquake. So this was the first seismograph which has been invented by the Chinese personnel known as Zhang Heng, and it is a beautiful example of the first seismograph. That's why I want you to take through the history. Next, after that, Galileo Galilei arrived. Okay, so one day he was there in a church and he was getting bored. So he found out that few light lamps were hang over the church, and due to wind, what was happening? This were oscillating like a pendulum. When he saw that the lamp is oscillating back and forth because of the wind, he started measuring the time period of this lamp with the help of his nerves. And from this, what he concluded, that he found out different relation between time period, frequency, and natural frequency of the system. So this was the few things which he able to grasp from this oscillating lamp. Thereafter he performed various experiments based on the pendulum, and many derivations were being obtained. After that, many discoveries were made in this vibration by Sir Isaac Newton, Bernoulli, Euler, Lagrange. Many researchers came and developed the vibrations theory. I hope you like this history. It is very beautiful. Next, vibration, when it would be desirable and when will it be undesirable. So as you can see here, when it is desirable, tuning fork. So this is the example of tuning fork. So when you hit with the hammer, so it will create different resonating frequency, which will be helpful to understanding the vibration theories. Then after, the harmonium, guitar. So basically all music instrument comes under the desirable thing. Okay, even the mobile phones. And lastly, the heart. Yes, heart. As you can see here, it always vibrates the day when we are born, and when it stops, we know where we'll stand. हम कार कटक लेंगे, ठीक है, ऊपर की तरफ. So heart is also part of a vibrating system, and it obviously comes under the desirable case. Okay. Thereafter, undesirable. So every unwanted sound that is made by the car, aircraft, mining machine, etc. would all come under unwanted sound, and obviously it will be undesirable thing. Next, reciprocating machines. Yes, every reciprocating, that is rotating machine, will produce a noise. Say for example, IC engine, right? Then after the earthquake, we know it is a big nuisance which will create very much destruction in our society. Then after, system designed without aerodynamic consideration. Aerodynamic consideration means basically we are ignoring the wind condition. So here I am going to show you one example of Tacoma Bridge.
Tacoma Bridge, Washington, opened only a few months ago, was built at a cost of over $6 million. But misfortune overtakes the great structure. These are some of the most amazing pictures ever recorded by a newsreel. The actual collapse of the world's third largest suspension bridge. Only a 35-mile-an-hour wind is blowing, but this apparently sets up a rhythmic swinging of the bridge, which increases with each swing. Finally, the swinging road and the suspension cables give way and plunge into the water below. Fortunately, the only casualties were a car stalled on the bridge and a dog.
बेचारे कुत्ते को बचाया जा सकता था, पर क्या करें, हम इंसान हैं। ठीक है, चलो लेट्स मूव फॉरवर्ड. सो यू हैव अंडरस्टूड द इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ द विंड कंडीशन, हाउ इट कॉज द सिस्टम टू वाइब्रेट इन a resonating condition, that bridge broke down. Okay, now how you can reduce the effect of vibration. So first of all, removing an unbalanced forces and couples. Okay, so let us say a ceiling fan is there. Okay. Now here there are unbalanced forces created at this wing due to the bending of the wings. What will happen? There will be a type of eccentricity generated in the system, and which will try to oscillate this system about this fixture and cause the system to vibrate, and ultimately it will fall down. Okay, so this can be removed by replacing this blade and correcting the force dynamically in the system. Second, by placing isolator between the machine parts. So all of you know the lathe machine. Now if lathe machine is directly placed on the floor, what will happen? There are the rotating parts placed at this lathe machine, and due to this rotating part, what will happen? There will be some eccentricity present in the system, and because of that there will be a vibration in the system, and this vibration will ultimately disturb the lathe machine or the floor of our system. Clear? So here what you can do, instead of changing here everything, what we'll do, we'll place one isolator type material, that is, let us say, rubber. So ultimately what, we can reduce the noise or the vibration between the machine part. Third, soundproof screens or glass. So this already you have observed when you visit the theater. Okay, so there is acoustic design in which the inside voice will not appear to be outside. Okay, last, the shock absorber, which you can find in automobile vehicles. If shock absorber were not there, what will happen? Spring will oscillate, and at resonating condition you will be kicked out of the automobile. So automobile, the shock absorber, and the best example you can think over is automobile, and you can imagine the condition, if the dampers are not present, what will happen? Ultimately you will have a problem. Okay, say for example cycle also. In cycle there are no spring or damper, what will happen? Ultimately it will hit your butt badly, right? So these are the different ways with which we can reduce the vibration in the system. Next, elements of the vibrating system, or you can say lumped parameter of vibrating system. So as you can see here it is a cantilever beam which is oscillating at two extreme position. So here let us say this is your mean position, position 1, and this is position 2. So when I have pushed this cantilever beam, what is happening? It has started oscillating. So during this, what is happening? At this two position, it is having potential energy which is at max, and when it starts coming down, what is happening? Potential energy is getting converted into kinetic energy, and you will find this kinetic energy to be maximum at the mean position. Now after some time, what will happen? This beam will try to come at the mean position. Now why this happen? beam comes to the mean position? Because as we know, there is atoms present adjacent to each other in the beam, and due to oscillation of this system, what will happen, that this atoms will generate heat. Okay, so ultimately what is happening, some work is been done by the system, and due to that what will happen, this system will try to come at the mean position. Okay, so how one can form the equivalent circuit diagram for this cantilever beam? So for this we'll be needing, first is the spring. What is spring? This material, that is cantilever beam, say for example, which is being made up of steel, is been elastic material, right? So we can consider that cantilever beam spring as a spring. Second, mass. So here some mass will be attached at the end, the force that I am applying. Okay. Lastly, the damper. Why damper? Because there is a resistance to the system, and that resistance is due to this adjacent atom, and which is doing the work in terms of heat. Because we know from the law of conservation of energy, energy can neither be created nor can be destroyed. It can be changed from one form to another. But when the work is been done, so obviously this beam is going to come at the mean position. So ultimately what you can find here, this circuit diagram to be this. So one damper, okay, which is in the form of this heat loss, as I have said. Another thing, that is spring, the steel medium that we have used, which act as a elastic medium, and the mass, the force that I have applied to the cantilever beam. So one can solve these equations or form the equations for this particular diagram equivalent. You can calculate force, bending, everything from this, but you cannot measure the vibration from this system. So we need to develop some term with which we can measure this system, like natural frequency of the system and natural angular frequency of the system and natural frequency of the system. So this will result in finding the amplitude of the vibration of the system, because unless and until that you cannot judge when it is going to break from this point. Even in static and dynamic condition you can judge, okay, but in dynamic condition or in static condition you can judge when it is going to break, but in dynamic condition, due to this oscillation, you will be not able to predict when this particular system is going to fail. So basically three parameters that are important over here is spring, mass, damper. Okay. So system with finite number of degree of freedom are called discrete or the lumped parameters. So the one which we can count. So as you can see here, only one mass is there, which is displaced by the x position. So these are called discrete or lump parameter system. And those with infinite number degree of freedoms are called continuous or distributed system. So if you want to analyze this beam precisely, you need to cut into different section, and after that integrate or this, and you will be able to get the answer, more precise answer of this. So those are called continuous or distributed system. Clear? So this is the basic difference between the discrete or the lump parameter or the continuous or distributed system. So here it will be n number of degree of freedom, but here the degree of freedom you can count, that is 1 degree of freedom. Only one direction is required to measure the displacement of the system. Now different terminology which you already know in your 11th standard of classical physics, but still will revise it. Okay. So first of all, vibration or oscillation. So any motion that repeats itself after an interval of time is called vibration or oscillation. Say for example, this pendulum example, it oscillates back and forth at particular time interval. So this is what we call vibration or oscillation of the system. cycle, it is a motion completed during one time period. So let us say this is point 1 and point 2. So when the motion is completed from one point to another, at that time we called it as a cycle. So here it will go from 1 to 2 and 2 to 1. So this will complete one cycle. Then frequency, number of cycle of motion completed in 1 second. So during this 1 second, how many times it can go from 1 to 2, 2 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 1. Okay, that will give you the frequency of the system, and it is measured in hertz. Amplitude of the system, the maximum displacement that it can achieve from the mean position. So here, as you can observe, this is our mean position of the pendulum. So this is our mean position of the pendulum, and two extreme position are extreme position 1 and extreme position 2. So this will give you the maximum amplitude of the vibrating body if you measure from the mean position, right? So this is the maximum amplitude at this point, and this is the maximum amplitude at this point. Stiffness, so it is nothing but the force applied per unit displacement. Degree of freedom, the minimum number of independent coordinate required to determine completely the position of all parts of a system at any instant of time, defined as the degree of freedom. And lastly, the resonance, when the frequency of external force, okay, when the frequency of external force is same as the natural frequency of the system, a state of resonance is said to be achieved or the reached, and such resonance will result in large amplitude of vibration, and this may be dangerous to a system. So as you have seen the example of Tacoma Bridge earlier, okay, the video that we saw, how it get filled. Okay. So degree of freedom, once again, as you can see here, right? So this is our spring mass system, and here only one variable x is enough to determine the position of the system. So this is what we say 1 degree of freedom in our vibrating system. Here also only one variable theta is required in torsional vibration to measure its displacement from the mean position. So we'll call it as 1 degree of freedom or single degree of freedom. Next, as you can see here, x1 and x2, two variables are required to get the displacement of this system. So we called it as a 2 degree of freedom. Similarly, if we come across the torsional case, theta 1 and theta 2 are required. That means again two variables are required. Lastly, here come, so here one x is required and one theta is required. So we'll call it as again 2 degree of freedom system. Lastly, continuous system, what I've said, if you want to calculate the system, you have to convert it into nth number of degree of freedom. So as you can see here, x1, x2, x3, x4, x5, etc. up to the deflection, and then after you can solve this system with the help of our numerical methods, like one which we have studied in the mathematics, Newton-Raphson method, Runge-Kutta method. Okay, with the help of this, we will be able to solve the approximate value of this system. So these are continuous system, and this is all 1 or 2 degree that we have seen is nothing but discrete system. Next, classification of vibration. So there are two here, free vibration and the forced vibration. Okay, so if a system after an initial disturbance is left to vibrate on its own, the ensuing vibration is known as free vibration. And here most importantly what you have to remember is no external force acts on the system. Okay. So if we come across the force vibration, it is a system subjected to external force. Okay. So here external force was absent. Only the initial disturbance was given. You can take the example of pendulum here, or even heart. The day you are born, it starts, okay, and the day you are there, it ends. So those are some example which you can take in the free vibration. But when you come to force vibration, there is a presence of always external force in the system which causes the system to vibrate are called forced vibration. And for example, you can take our IC engines like automobile vehicles, right? Next, based on the resistance, that is undamped and damped. So in undamped vibration, once the oscillation is start or once the disturbance is given, it is going to oscillate continuously like this, okay? And this system you will rarely encounter in the nature. For example, pendulum and the heart you can take. Pendulum is also true if there is no energy loss in the system, complete energy loss in the system, and it is very difficult to achieve this system, okay? Next, damped vibration, obviously there will be a presence of external force which we have seen in the force vibration, which will cause the resistance to the system, that is external resistance to the system, and ultimately the system will damp down or the amplitude will decay. So as you can see in this figure, the black one indicates the undamped vibration and the blue one indicates the damped vibration. So if we plot a diagram of x versus t here, so what you can observe that see black one is continuously oscillating, right? Whereas the blue one is oscillating but it is dying at this point, right? So that is what we call damped, and other condition is what we call undamped. Next, classification based on the motion. So as you can see here, three are there: longitudinal vibration, transverse vibration and torsional vibration. So in longitudinal vibration, what you can observe, the vibration takes place along the axis of the motion. So this is the textbook diagram, this is the axis, and along this direction the vibration takes place. So come across this 3D figure. So let us point this axis. This is the axis of the system. Okay. So here the displacement is along the axis and it is rotating along the axis of the system. So remember here, along the axis of the system. Next, transverse vibration. So one example which you have already looked, cantilever beam. Force is applied to the transverse direction or the perpendicular directions of the system. So as you can see here, here it is fixed. Here one beam is there, this is mass m, and here I have given a force F, let us say. So it will start oscillating like this beam. So force is applied to the perpendicular to the axis of the system. So here oscillations are there perpendicular to the axis of the system, perpendicular to axis of system. Lastly, torsional vibration. So here as you can see, this is textbook diagram. So this is center line, and when I have given the rotation to the system, what will happen? It will try to oscillate back and forth along the axis of the system. Okay, so here the system will rotate along the axis of system. So as you can see in the 3D figure, so this is our axis, blue one which I am drawing is axis, and these two reds are oscillating at two mean points. So let us say this is 1 and this is 2. So two extreme point it is, see here, oscillating, right? So this is 1 1 and this is the another condition 2 and 2. I hope all the vibrations are clear: longitudinal, transverse and torsional vibration. Next, based on behavior of system, that is linear vibration and non-linear vibration. So in linear vibration, the spring, the mass, the damper will behave linearly. The resulting vibration is known as linear vibration. In other terms, if we go for the non-linear, this all components will behave non-linearly. Okay. So come across here. So as you can see, longitudinal vibration here, the vibration is taking place along the axis. See this wave, the dark one is passing along the axis of the system. So that is what we call linear vibration. But when this spring is getting like this wavy formation, okay, so that is what we called as a non-linear vibration. But generally we try to keep system in the linear condition and we try to solve the vibrating system. If we go for the non-linear cases, it will become more difficult and the problem will become much complex and it will be very much hard to study. So for our syllabus point of view, we will be keeping the system to be in the linear behavior. Okay. Classification of vibration based on the magnitude of the forces at a given time. So first is deterministic vibration and random vibration. So from the name itself, deterministic means which we can locate, okay, or which we can predict, यानी पहले से पता रहेगा हमको, और random यानी अचानक से पता नहीं रहेगा कब होने वाला है, ठीक है. So that is what the difference. So textbook definition is what it says: if the value or magnitude of the exciting force on a vibrating system is known at any given time, right? See here, it is known as any given time, then that excitation is called as deterministic vibration. For example, IC engine, we know, we have designed it, when it is going to take place, right? So those comes under deterministic vibration. And the value of excitation at a given time cannot be predicted, okay, the time period cannot be predicted, is what we call non-deterministic vibration. यानी कब होने वाला है, sudden, we don't know. So for example, here you can take earthquake, पता नहीं रहता ना कब आने वाला है, आ जाता है तब पता चलता है कि आ गया है, we cannot predict, right? So if you take the force versus time diagram, so it will be a simple like this, the one which we have looked in the undamped vibration. And if we come across the random, so it will be like this, कब ऊपर जा रहा है कब नीचे जा रहा है, कब ऊपर जा रहा है कब नीचे जा रहा है, ठीक है. So those comes under the random vibrations. Now simple harmonic motion, which you have already done in your physics once again. So any vibrating system behaving in nature, we can consider it to be the simple harmonic motion. So as you can see here, this is a spring mass system here. So now what is happening over here? As you can see, from here it has started rotating, right? And it is completing one cycle here, 2 pi. So let us say this part is the maximum amplitude that has been attained by the system, that is capital X. And we'll say a new position that has been attained by a system at P. So let us say this distance traveled is small x. So here if we plot, so it will be somewhere here, and this will be small x, that is the displaced part when I have displaced by amount equal to theta. Theta is nothing but omega e into t, because it is rotated by amount equal to omega, and we have considered at time t equal to t second position, here at t equal to 0. So from the geometry, what you can observe is displacement after time t. Okay, so we are considering this point P. So what will be the displacement? It will be small x is equals to x sine theta. Why x sine theta? Because this is with the angle cos theta, and against the angle this will be sine theta. So here it will be x equals to x sine theta. Okay, capital X sine theta, since this amplitude here is capital X. So displacement here will be x equals to x sine theta. So theta is nothing but omega into t. So this is displacement. Now we will calculate velocity. Okay. So how you can calculate velocity? So velocity at time t, velocity at time t will be x dot, which is nothing but d by dt of x sine omega t. So it will be nothing but omega x cos of omega t. And further this equation can be rewritten as omega x sine omega t plus pi by 2. You can convert this into pi by 2, right? So this pi by 2 is nothing but the phase difference which you will observe in the system. So this is your phase difference. Clear? Because in second quadrant, here in second quadrant, sign will be positive and you can rewrite this equation like this. And next parameter that we'll be calculating is the acceleration. Okay. So acceleration will be nothing but x double dot, that will be d by dt, d squared by dt, and we'll take x sine x cos omega t. So what will happen here? Sorry, x sine omega t. So x is constant, so x will come out. Omega, first derivative will cause it cos omega t. Okay. Now again we need to derivate twice, so cos will become minus sine omega t, and one more omega will come out, so it will be minus of x omega square sine of omega t. And this equation can be rewritten as omega square x sine of omega t plus pi, because in third quadrant here sine and cos both are negative. Okay, so here phase difference is by amount equal to pi. This is the phase difference of the pi. So if you plot graphically, it will be looking something like this, right? So this x here displacement, v here velocity, and lastly a, that is green one, is acceleration. So blue one is displacement, red one is velocity, and green one is acceleration. So you can see here there is a phase difference which you can observe graphically. So ultimately, finally what we have obtained, x double dot, that is acceleration term, x double dot, okay, minus omega square x sine of omega t. This was the thing that we obtained. So x double dot minus omega square into small x, okay, into small x, since x is equals to x sine omega t, which we have supposed. Okay, it is not a thumb rule that you have to always assume that this is sine omega t. You can choose any harmonic function, that is cos omega t or sine omega t. You can choose either of the value. Okay, and accordingly you can calculate further, the answer will be the same. So x double dot plus omega n square x, that is equals to 0. So this above equation is what we called fundamental equation of simple harmonic motion. So this is very much important. We will be making use much of this equation omega n square, that is this differential equation, and we will compare with the other differential equation, ordinary differential equation, to get the answer of the omega n. Okay, so remember this, very much important formula, and from state government point of view also this is very important theory. So now modeling of a system, how you can particularly model a vibrating system. So as you can see here, this is the tube, you can say, or the, in layman language, weight. Here one frame is there, anvil is here, elastic padding, foundation block, and so on. One system is given to you and we need to analyze this system. Okay. So this is anvil is nothing but hard स्टील ब्लॉक, ओके, जिसके ऊपर हम लोग फॉर्जिंग प्रोसेस करते हैं ना, ठीक है, वो वाला ये ब्लॉक रहता है यहाँ पे, एनविल, उसको हम एनविल बोलते हैं. So now when the weight is allowed to fall from the system, what will happen? It is going to create a vibration over this following foundations, right? So how one can calculate that what amount of vibration will be produced by this falling weight, so that our foundation or the elastic pad will not break. So first step what we can do here is, so falling weight, and I am merging this frame, anvil and foundation block in one block, that is mass block, let us say, which is getting displaced in downward direction due to this falling weight. And I have considered this elastic pad and soil to be as this stiffness and the damping of our system. Now easily we can analyze this system and we can calculate what will be the effect on this solution. Okay. Now if you want to have refined answer of it, okay, more approximate answer or the more precise answer, what you can do, further rearrange the system. So once again the falling weight as it is. Now I am attaching one mass block with a frame and an anvil. Okay. Thereafter I am attaching this damping of elastic pad. Damping of elastic pad and stiffness of elastic pad as one parameter. Then after foundation as the another mass block. Let us say M2, this is M1. And again the soil I am considering it as a damping of soil and stiffness of soil. So when you analyze these two systems, that is two mass M1 and M2, you will get much refined solution for the given system. So this is how you can model the system. Even your automobile vehicles, you can model, even your automobile vehicles you can model like this. Any system, any vibrating system, you can frame it in such a manner. Now equivalent spring concept. So first of all we'll see is the spring in series. So spring in series, here the mass is attached, let us say at this point mass has been attached, and here two springs are there which are being connected in series, having spring stiffness K1 and K2. So how one can analyze this system? So in this condition, first condition, spring in series, what is happening? The deflection delta will be so the deflection delta will be different for both spring cases, right? But here the force remains same on both the spring. Okay, so here the force, applied force F will remain same on both the spring, but the deflection in the spring 1 and deflection in the spring 2 may vary because they might be of different materials. This might get deflected by 2 mm and this might get deflected by 3 mm, or vice versa. This will be 3 mm or 2 mm, but the force that I applied, let us say 10 kilonewton, will remain the same. So here we know one equation, that is spring stiffness, that is K is equals to F by delta. So by using the above equation, that is delta, we can replace the term. So let us make subject delta here, that is F by K. So substitute F by K equivalent. Okay, so let us say this is delta equivalent is equals to delta 1 will be F1 by K1 plus F2 by K2. Since the force is remaining same, what you can say, 1 upon K equivalent is equals to 1 upon K1 plus 1 upon K2. So this is the general solution which you can obtain when the springs are in series. series, right? And this is the equivalent circuit diagram, K equivalent circuit diagram for the system. Now next, springs in parallel. Okay, in this condition, what is happening? The force will be changing. Let us say the common force applied over here is 10 kilonewton. So the force might be 6 kilonewton here, and the force can be 4 kilonewton here, or else this will be 4 kilonewton, or this will be 6 kilonewton, though the total force remains same as 10 kilonewton. But the deflection that will be produced in spring 1 and spring 2 will remain the same. So what you can make here is F equivalent is equals to F1 plus F2 as the force is changing. Now again using that equation, that is K is equals to F by delta. So F is nothing but K into delta. So here K equivalent delta is equals to K delta 1 plus K2 delta 2. Now deflection is remaining same, that is delta is equals to delta 1 equals to delta 2. So ultimately your equation will be K equivalent is equals to K1 plus K2. So this condition is true when the springs are in parallel. Now same with the case of the damper. So damper in series and damper in parallel. Okay. So here one thing you need to remember, that equation, damping force, here viscous dampers are used. Okay, viscous dampers are used. So in viscous damping, F damping force is given by C into X dot, because it is directly proportional to the velocity of the system. So when the when the damper is in series, what will happen in that condition? The velocity will change. The total velocity will be changing, as I have displaced in this direction, x direction, by applying a force equals to F. What will happen? There might be a thing that it will be going with the velocity x1 dot as 2 meter per second, and this will be traveling x2 dot will be 3 meter per second. So what you can do here is x dot total is equals to x1 dot plus x2 dot. Now I told you, remember that equation, F is equals to Cx dot. What we required here is x. So what you can do, x dot is equals to Fd by C. So replace that in equation. So Fd by C equivalent is equals to F1 by C1 plus F2 by C2. Now forces are equal, so what I can say, C equivalent is equals to 1 upon C1 plus 1 upon C2, since Fd is equals to F1 is equals to F2. Fd is nothing but the damping force that I indicated. So this is the condition for the springs in series, and it is same as that the dampers are in series. So this is the case as that same of the spring. Now come to parallel case. Now in parallel case, what will be happening? The force that I have applied, that was say 10 kilonewton, will not be same on this both the damper, right? F1 and F2. It might change, but what is remaining same here is x1 dot velocity and x2 dot velocity. So again come over here, Fd is equals to F1 plus F2. Make use of that equation again, that is Fdcx dot. What you required over here is F. So Cx dot substitute over the here. So C equivalent is equals to x dot C1 x1 dot plus C2 x2 dot. So C equivalent is equals to C1 plus C2, since x dot is equals to x1 is equals to x2. Okay, so this is the condition for the parallel dampers in parallel, and it is same as that of the springs in parallel condition. So today we have completed the introduction of the vibration. If you like the lecture, please do subscribe and share with your friends. Thank you.